Hi, welcome to my channel, Reader Woman. My name's Judy and let's talk books. I had a very bookish Sunday. My niece and I went to, it's called Fairhaven. Bellingham was made up of 3 towns, of which Fairhaven was one. And so it's a little region by kind of close to the water. Old brick buildings, a lot of small little boutique kind of place, and they also host 2 different bookstores, and so we went to both. The first one we visited was Eclipse, and that is a used bookstore, a very nice one. It overlooks Bellingham Bay, and I really enjoy it. Sometimes I go in there and I don't find a darn thing, and sometimes I walk out with my arms full. I have to say that I thought they had just a hair too many books. They had books on all the shelves, and then in front of the shelves, probably 2 feet high, they had stacks of books at the bottom. And it was a little overwhelming, I have to say. We started there and we went to Village Books, which is our independent local bookstore, and they primarily are new. They have just a very small selection of used. And so after I went there, I had a list of books I was looking for. And when I went back to Eclipse, I couldn't find one. So it's always a hit and miss. It's always a challenge. And so anyways, I thought I'd share what I bought and talk about book buying a little bit. You probably don't realize this about me, but I collect, and I say I collect. I maybe have 4 or 5 of these, but I always love needlepoint books. So this one is by Elizabeth Bradley, whom I consider to be a very important designer. And I don't do a lot of needlepoint, but I always find the books so beautiful and evocative. I love the fact that they work in periods and reproducing and reimagining, like William Morris and other things. So, so I was very happy to find this, and if I remember correctly, I thought it was, yeah, it was $8.75. So I thought that was a steal, to tell you the truth. I just find these to be endlessly creative. I have, you know, from my years of typing, I have carpal tunnel that doesn't give me a lot of problems, but I've had to give up knitting because it just doesn't work anymore for me with my wrists. So I don't know if I'll actually be doing any more needlepoint. I've only done 2. Yeah, I was happy to add that to my small collection. And I was with my niece, and so after we perused there, we then headed over to Village Books. Village Books is an excellent independent bookstore. I've gone to many author events there. I've got signings. In particular, my most exciting one was, oh gosh, Tim Robbins? Yeah, Tim, not Tom. Or Tom, no, Tom Robbins. Okay, Tom Robbins, whom I have loved since college. Sort of. I love Jitterbug Perfume. I've loved quite a few of his books. I thought that Villa Incognito was very depressing, and it just was the musings of it sounded like a very bitter man. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I know he's getting very old. We're just lucky because he lives about 30 miles away in LaConner. And so he came up for a talk, and but he came up with his entourage. He had like 3 women dressed to rock and roll. So anyways, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, there's been a lot of events there, big and small. And it's a great place for that. They have writing groups. They have book clubs, which I joined, and just a lot of things. So we are lucky in Bellingham to have such a good bookstore. But that kind of started my conundrum. I saw the new Colson Whitehead Nickel Boys, and it was beautiful hardback, full price. And I was like, yeah, if I really bought one of his, I'd probably want to buy Underground Railroad. And when I found it, they only had it in paperback, you know, of course. It's new store, you know, it's new books, so they pull out, you know, so that it's going to be current. I understand that. But then when I was thinking about the understory, they only had that in paperback too, but I think it's Richard Powers. So I was kind of left going, what am I going to buy here? So I went to their sale place, and I found this, which is Henry James's The Princess Casamassima. Oh dear. There we go. Which I love Henry James. He's not somebody I read all the time, but I do love him. And I don't know, there's just something about an author who's willing to take a paragraph to finish his sentence. It's honorable trade. While it's not something I've even known about to want to read, I thought I'd add it to my shelf. And the only thing I was a little bit unhappy with was the typography in the book. It almost looks scanned. They didn't go out to the edge. The border wasn't that good. Anyways, I thought it was an odd addition inside. But as we'll talk about later, I'm not going to worry about it. I just thought it would be a nice addition for, I think it was $5.99 or something like that, in Everyman's Library. Nice little hardback book. So yeah, those were the books that I bought. And just to kind of finish off what's available bookstore-wise in Bellingham, we have Henderson's, which is another great used bookstore. They have a wide variety. I've always actually gone to Henderson's more than Eclipse, because Fairhaven, it's always difficult to find parking. And so, yeah, I tend to stay away from that. But, you know, it's a good place. And then we have Barnes & Noble, which, you know, I hate the fact they're always wanting to sell the membership, the year's membership. It always strikes me the wrong way. I'm there spending money for books, and then you're wanting me to get a savings by having to spend more money. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be back this year to buy another book. You know, it's not like Barnes & Noble is the only place I get books. So like I say, it always pisses me off. You know, then we also have the stores that carry oddball things, you know, in them, as well as Costco, which I don't really tend to buy from. I like supporting local businesses. I really do, particularly for book selling. And when I was in the market for Juliet Barker's biography of the Brontes, I'd called both used bookstores and asking if they had an edition there, which they didn't. They were kind enough to look, but neither one did. So I went ahead and bought that on eBay. And So let's talk book buying. Where do you buy your books? I remember it was probably two and a half years ago. I was talking to my youngest niece in California, and she was saying that she was reading most of her books on her Kindle, and at the time I couldn't imagine. But she was saying that when she read a book she really liked, then she would go and purchase a copy of it to put it on her bookshelves. And I thought at the time, how weird that is. And yet that is kind of where I find myself. I have a list of books that I want to purchase because I have read them on my Kindle. And for me, it's important for me to have a physical copy. I don't know, a month or two ago on YouTube, it started with Memento Mori, showing off his amazing orange bookshelves. And he made the point that he curated his books. And I immediately knew that wasn't what I do. And I heard Britta Bowler talk more about how she felt that her bookshelves represented her reading life, that they were a kind of almost a living, because it continually is added to, history of what she's read in her life. Probably more along those lines, although I have a lot of books on my shelves that I haven't read. There's a lot that I haven't read. They're there for a purpose, and for me, I have always been, I read what catches my fancy at the moment. So I've always been happy to add to my collection interesting books that I want to read, but I just haven't gotten around to it. So I find myself in the predicament of needing to buy certain books because I want to have them on my shelf. Like Madeline Miller's, I have that on the shelf over here, Circe. I want to add to that. I want to add a nice hardcover of The Song of Achilles. I don't want to buy one of these paperback. I want a nice hardback. I loved the book, and it's just something I want to add. And once again, I have quite a few of those. So as well as wanting to, put on the shelves things that I enjoy looking at, that stimulate me, that keep me involved, because on my Kindle, once it's read, it kind of goes away. I mean, not really, but it's not something that I look at. I'm there to read the book I'm reading, or figuring out which book I'm going to read next, and I'm adding that. So I buy books from Amazon and eBay. I'm not happy about it. I don't feel like I'm helping the local economy at all. And yet, what am I going to do? You could say, what about the library, Judy? You could. I am not a good library patron. I'm just not. I don't return books on time. The town that I live in, the Bellingham Library has very limited hours. Last time they pissed me off, it was because I went down there on an evening at like 6 o'clock and they were closed. They were closed in the evening to make sure that patrons who work aren't able to actually come in and use the library. I think they're open one night a week. That was the beauty of the library for me as a kid. I could go, I don't remember, but it seems like I know there had to have been evening hours. I don't say they were open until 9 or 10 o'clock, but And the Bellingham Library is inadequate. Just like my shelves, when I go to look for books, I might peruse a whole section. You know, if I'm interested in a little something, I might go to that section and just look around. The majority of the collection at the Bellingham Library is on the second or third floor. That is locked, and you have to put in a request to have the book brought to you. What kind of library is that? I mean, what kind of library is that? So I guess I could pay money and go up to the Western Washington University Library, which sounds like a real pain. I mean, parking's even worse than in Fairhaven. And I don't live that close to it, so I don't know. That's why. And after high school, I had to come to the conclusion that I don't belong in a library. So that's why I buy books. That's why I buy books and keep books that I haven't read, because the day might come that I want to. So anyways, I'd like to hear how and what you do to buy books. Do you buy them locally? Do you go through Amazon? Do you in eBay, or what do you do? Anyways, hope you're having a great evening, and we'll talk soon. Bye.